All right. Hi, everyone. It's Marlon here, and we're about to start the webinar. So today I want to go through the 7 tips, tools, and techniques to build your funnel into your website. So today, and if you've been if you were at the talk last week when I spoke on the Gold Coast, you'll see that there was a whole strategy that I talked about called the sales-driven site or the sales-driven website. And that strategy is about building a marketing funnel into your website. It becomes the key component or the foundation of your website. And then once you have that, then you can drive traffic to your website. And that whole strategy, if you go to salesdrivensites.com, you'll be able to see that strategy explained. But today is really an extension of that, that talk. And it's really to dive deep and get into the nitty-gritty. So it's the technical component. And some of you may not be interested in the technical side, and others will be interested on a high-level view, just to know and make sure that you're using the right tools, or your developer or designer is using the right tools. And others of you will be really interested in knowing this because you're going to implement this into your business. So today is about going through 7 of these tools or tips or things that I use on the site to make a sales-driven website real, to make it work. And some of the tools you may know, and some of them you may not know, and some of them you may know of but don't use. I want to encourage you to actually start using these tools on your website, because after thousands of hours of building these sites, these are the best that I've come up with. And there's a lot of hours behind the reasoning. It's not because I make money off them. It's not because I are fans of the company. I've actually tested all of them, and they're the ones that make my life easier. So if you can, just before I start, just type into the chat and just say, I can hear you, or I can see the screen. You should see a screen that says 7 tips, tools, and techniques to build your funnel into your website. So if you can just type into the chat so I can see that you can see my screen, and I can know that you can hear me or you can't. I think the hearing one, if you can't hear me, you're probably not going to type it in. But if someone can hear me and they type it in, then I'll know that at least it's all working. So if you type that in, that would be great. Okay, so while I wait for that, I guess there's a couple of things when it comes to building a sales-driven website that's really, really important, and that is that it needs to be built on the right foundation. And if you get that foundation wrong, then everything becomes difficult. Because remember, the sales-driven website is the starting point. It's the foundation. It's kind of the cornerstone of your whole strategy. And if you're going to pay to get traffic to your website, you need to make sure that once it gets there, you can capture the details, you can nurture the prospect from a cold prospect to a warm prospect, and you can ensure that your every dollar you spend is a good investment you're making, and the website will ensure that. So I can see that everyone can see and hear, so that is great. So let's move on and really get into this sales-driven website. So the first thing you need to do is to build your website on WordPress. And so WordPress is the #1 platform out there to build a website on. Now, I know there's Weebly, there's Wix, there's Squarespace, and there's hundreds of other builders out there. I think Wix and Squarespace at the moment are doing lots of advertising on YouTube and Facebook. And a lot of you will, be convinced to sign up to those services. And I don't want to put them down. I think they're really good for what they are. I think that if you're a business owner and you want to learn and you want to get your website up very quickly, then Wix and Weebly and Squarespace are very good. The problem is that once you start to do marketing functionality on your website, they fall apart very quickly. Those sites are basically to get a non-technical person to get a site that looks pretty up as quickly as possible, but then you can't do the advanced things. So if you want to have capture forms to capture leads on your website and then send out an automated email, it's very difficult to do that. The most important thing, which can't be done, I know, on Wix and Squarespace, it's difficult, is when you want to measure the conversions coming from Facebook, you just can't do it. it doesn't have the ability to put the code in the right section of the site. And that's a little advanced while we're just warming up. But it's one of the major reasons I tell people don't use those platforms, because if you're going to do paid advertising on Facebook, then you can't measure. And if you can't measure it, don't spend a cent. It's just a waste of time. And so that's the negative thing about the technical marketing components. So they are showstoppers when it comes to that. The other thing is they are quick to get up something which if you follow their rules, right? And if you do what they want you to do, but it's very hard to do something a little different on these sites. WordPress has the full-on flexibility to do whatever you like. These sites are very strict. So I mentioned the example of a capture form where someone clicks a button, it pops up a little form, they can put their name, email address, and phone number in, they click a button, and the details are captured and put into an email marketing app like Infusionsoft or MailChimp. Now that kind of thing is quite difficult to do on these platforms. Also the design component, they're not very flexible when it comes to design. Designing your site is quite difficult when you try to go off the tracks, okay? WordPress, you can go off the tracks and do whatever you like, and I'll show you how you do that with Elementor. With these sites, it's very strict what you can and can't do, and if you try and be a little different, and some of you will try to be different because, or most of you will, if you want to build a sales-driven website, because you need to put certain parts of the site and features into very, distinct areas of the site, and you'll be limited, okay? So my recommendation is to use WordPress. Now, there's two versions of WordPress. Let me just get this up here. So there's two versions of WordPress. The first one is WordPress.com. And then there's WordPress.org. The WordPress.com is the paid platform that you go to. You can see here that I've actually logged in, so that's no good. Let me just log out if I can. It's strange. Well, let me just open up in incognito then. So WordPress. So this is the WordPress site. It's actually hosted by the company that owns WordPress, Automattic. And you can go here and you can choose a plan, and you can, for $6 a month, it's kind of very comparable to Weebly, Squarespace. This is good to do this, but I wouldn't do it this way. And again, if you really don't want to make it complicated, then sign up to one of these, okay? It does have limitations on it because it doesn't give you the freedom. WordPress.org is the open source version where you can install it on your own server. And so what I would recommend you do is go to SiteGround. SiteGround is a web hosting service. It's where I host my sites. And if you go to WordPress hosting, you click there, and for $4.95 a month, you can sign up. But now you have your own install, and you have full control over it. If you go for the WordPress.com version, there are limitations on what you can and can't do. Okay, it's a lot better than it used to be, but not as good as what it could be at times. So I would definitely say do it this way. Now, you can hear that it's getting complex, right? So if this is the first time you're doing something, then very quickly in the first part of this webinar, it's become complex. You kind of have to go to SiteGround, you have to buy a plan, you have to then install it. And for most of you business people who aren't interested or not skilled in this, it can get very complex very fast. And that's why at Sales Driven Sites, we can do all this for you. But I want to teach you what you need. So if we do it for you, if you go to another web design company or another marketing company, that you're making sure and checking that they're using the right tools. So the first thing is, don't use WordPress.com. Go and install WordPress on a company like SiteGround so you have full control, okay? So that's what I want to say about WordPress. The next thing is Elementor. So Elementor is a page builder. So in WordPress, it's quite easy to make pages in WordPress, but there is limitations, and you kind of need a little bit of skill if you're going to just use WordPress out of the box. Elementor is this amazing page builder where you can drag and drop things on pages and change the size of images and rewrite text, and you use no programming skill at all. Like it's just drag and drop. So if you know how to use Word or Excel, you will pick this up pretty quickly. And so again, if you're going to do this yourself, Elementor is the way to go. Now, it's called a page builder because you can build a page, but you can build your homepage, a landing page, an ebook. There's any type of page you can build on your website. Now, I used to use something called ClickFunnels. So ClickFunnels is an app that you can buy for $97 US a month, $97 US a month. And it allows you to build landing pages, marketing or funnel pages. It's a pretty good app, but it's very restrictive. If you're going to try and edit these pages and make them your own, it can be quite difficult to do. And the other thing, it's built on someone else's platform. So if you're going to build a marketing funnel out, that's why I say build a marketing funnel into your website. Don't build it on an app like ClickFunnels or even Lead Pages, because what happens is you're restricted with the design. It's not as easy to change the design as you would like. Secondly, it's built on someone else's platform, so Lead Pages. So now you have a website, plus you have your landing pages for your funnel on another site. What I'm saying is combine the two into your website, and Elementor is the tool that allows you to build these landing pages. So if we go here and we go to salesdrivensites.com, you can see that here is a page, which is a landing page for an ebook or a cheat sheet. And now I'm in WordPress now. You can see this is the menu. And if I open this in Elementor, so Elementor is the page builder that you install into WordPress, you'll see when it opens, it's just so easy to make changes and to make new pages. So this is a new version that they've just released. So look at this. So I'm now in Elementor, and if I want to just change this all together, I can just say the new cheat sheet. Okay. And if I don't like that, I can click on style, and I want to change the color. I can just click here and change the text color to red. If I want to change the size, you can see that I can make it really big or really small. You can see the weight. I can make it bold. If I want to, I can click here, and they're called elements. That's why it's called Elementor. And I can add a video here, and straight away there's a video on my page. And then I can go to YouTube and change the link. I just put the YouTube link in here, and we'll change the video. If this here is an image, so I can click on the image, and I can delete it, and I can upload a new image. So I might want to put, let's say, this guarantee here. When I insert it, and you can see there's the guarantee. And if I want to make that a bit smaller, I can just shrink it down. So it's pretty amazing what you can do. If I want to put some more text, say, in this section, I can say this is the lead magnet. And what I can even do here is I can copy this style. So if I want to match the style, I copy it, and then I can right click and paste the style, and all of a sudden the style matches. It's brilliant. It's really easy for someone like you and I to be able to create our whole website really using Elementor. And if you go to Sales Driven Sites homepage, it's the way I built the homepage as well. So here's the homepage. And if we open the page in Elementor, you can see that it'll load. Now it takes a little while to load because it's loading lots of information and functionality into this page, which makes it easy for you to use. But you can see here it's the same thing. So if I want to delete this, I can just delete it. If I want to add a countdown timer, I can add the countdown timer, and then I can configure it to, whatever time I like. I can remove different parts of it. So it just gives you so much functionality here to be able to do all of this. See this flipping here? This is just a flip box, and it was no coding. I just had to drag it on. I had to write in all this text in the sidebar here, and it just works. So that's one of the reasons you use WordPress. Now, I can tell you that WordPress and Elementor, the Elementor is an app that you install on WordPress. It is so much easier to use than ClickFunnels and Lead Pages and even Unbounce. Okay, Unbounce is another great landing page builder. I believe, I've used all of these. I believe Elementor is easy to use and all of these put together. It's also, once you have your website for $4 a month or whatever you pay for your website, you don't have to pay an extra 99. I think this one's like 100. That's 100. That's like 50 a month. You have to pay that fee, and you get better functionality. So that is why I would use Elementor with WordPress for your sales-driven site. So if you have any questions, just ask them, type them into the chat, and I can answer it as we go. So the next one I want to tell you about is ActiveCampaign. So ActiveCampaign is the best email marketing automation platform out there. Now, the other contenders that you should really think about, Mailchimp, also Infusionsoft. There might be one called Ontraport. There's also Drip. There's heaps. There's heaps out there. So there's Ontraport and Infusionsoft, which is now called Keep. They've just renamed it. But Ontraport and Infusionsoft are pretty much on the same level. These are very advanced marketing automation systems, and they typically will cost you, $200, $300, $400 US a month. Very expensive, but they're the cream of the crop. Drip is kind of on the same level as ActiveCampaign, but doesn't have as many features as ActiveCampaign. And Mailchimp is the little brother. Okay, it's a good start, but very quickly you'll grow out of it. So the pricing goes kind of like this. So there's Mailchimp, which a lot of you could actually use. It does have email automation, but very limited. You can only start the automation, and then it has to finish. ActiveCampaign and Drip are very similar, but ActiveCampaign is actually more similar. So Drip is more similar to Mailchimp, and ActiveCampaign is more similar to these two. Now, ActiveCampaign starts at $9 a month. So it's very cheap to start with. And then as you grow, it gets more expensive, but it's very affordable to start with. And the functionality, I put it this way, it's everything you need to build a sales-driven site, but all the functionality that these guys have, it doesn't have the functionality you don't need. So Infusionsoft, for example, has a CRM, and so does ActiveCampaign. It has a full-on CRM that you can, put all your contacts into. It has a sales pipeline, which Drip doesn't have, and Mailchimp doesn't have, and ActiveCampaign does have. Ontraport also has this. So that's very important for me, the sales pipeline. Now, online sales, the ability to buy things, ActiveCampaign doesn't have, but most of you won't use that. And if you do need it, then you can add WooCommerce to WordPress for free. And that's how you can get online sales. So ActiveCampaign doesn't have it. You can put it into WordPress, so you don't need to pay for it. Payments, again, is how to collect payments. And lots of, other integrations, which ActiveCampaign has as well. So really the thing that you're not getting is the online sales landing page builder and payments, but the landing page builder you have in WordPress anyway, and the payments you can install very easily for free in WordPress. So that's why I'm saying ActiveCampaign is the best. It has all the important functionality of Infusionsoft and Ontraport, but none of the functionality you actually don't need, or you can replace in WordPress for free. So when it comes to email automations, let me show you one. So this is ActiveCampaign I'm logging into now. And you can see here that there's Automations. This is the important part of ActiveCampaign. So I'm going to open this one. Let's open these and I'll show you how they work. You can see here that ActiveCampaign allows you to build some very complex automated sequences. So basically, this is when someone signs up for a particular ebook, we then check to see if they've we check to make sure that they've actually upgraded and said, yes, put me into it. If they have, we send that. If they don't, we go down this path. And then there's another decision if they have filled in, if they have a tag called event completed at 5QI, then yes, they go that way. If no, we send them down there and we ask them again to actually sign up. And then we ask them again. So you can see that there's some very complex logic here, which MailChimp cannot do. Now, Infusionsoft, Ontraport, and Drip can, but MailChimp can't do any of this conditional logic. Here's another one where, basically they come in and fill a questionnaire, and based on the answer to the questionnaire, they get put through down this funnel, or they get put through down this funnel. If they get put through into this funnel, they eventually go and enter a separate automation. This is an automation. They get put into a separate one where they actually get the emails. But you can see there's lots of checks and cross checks here, where this is where with the sales driven site, where you're nurturing people automatically. So remember, a sales driven site, you capture the details and then you warm them up from cold to hot. And this is how you do it. One of the components is called the automated marketing sequence. And sending these emails or sending people along these paths, depending on how they've interacted with your company, really helps you nurture people from a cold to a hot prospect ready for your salespeople or for you to actually call them. Okay, so that's ActiveCampaign. I would use that. Now, Pixel Your Site is a plugin that you put into WordPress. So if you stick with me and you go here, you'll see that plugins on the WordPress dashboard, there's something called plugins. And these are all the plugins. Now, what a plugin is, it's like an extra feature you can add to WordPress. Now, these features are typically built by third-party developers, and they allow you to take the base. It's like this. If you get a new car, you can, like back in the 80s, they would say, do you want air conditioning or not? Not today, I think it's standard. But you can get a upgraded stereo, you can get a sound system that's like a Boss sound system, you can get special paint, you can get protection, you can get leather seats. There's all these upgrades to make your car from just a normal car into this amazing machine that you love to spend time in. And it's the same thing with WordPress. A plugin is an upgrade that you can upgrade the WordPress website to turn it into a sales-driven website. And these are the plugins that I use. One of them is called Pixel Your Site, and it allows you to add the Facebook pixel and add all the Facebook events you need. It's very easy to do. You can see here, these are all the extra plugins that I've added to my site. And the one down here is called, where is it? It's a bit Pixel Your Site, okay? And so if we go, once you've installed it, it comes into the menu here, and if you click on Pixel Your Site, it will ask you for your Facebook Pixel ID. You add it there. You can put your Google Analytics ID in there as well. And then you can create events which allows Facebook to measure when you have an actual conversion. So you can see when someone goes to the thank you page of my audit, that's recorded as a lead, okay? And so that's getting a little bit complex now, but what I want you to know is that adding this functionality to your WordPress site is very, very easy. And the reason WordPress has taken off so dramatically is because it allows you to add these plugins. And so WordPress now runs 33% of the internet. 33% of the internet is now run on WordPress. That is huge. And that's why you want to be on WordPress. And that's why, and the reason is because of these plugins. And that's how you turn a normal WordPress website, which a lot of you have, into a sales-driven website by adding a whole host of these plugins. That's one component. So the next one is SEO Press. This is another plugin, okay? And this plugin, and you can go here if you click on SEO. I've added this plugin in, and this will help you optimize your website for SEO, which is something you really need to do. And so there's a whole bunch of advanced options here that you can fill in. And then every time you create a blog post or a page, it will help you optimize it for WordPress. It kind of takes you through a guide. And so I want to encourage you that the SEO plugin is very, very important to get traffic for free to your website. And once again, it's another reason to use WordPress over its competitors. Now, Zapier is a great app that some of you will use out of the gate and some of you won't use. And so Zapier really allows you to integrate your website into anything. So it doesn't matter what app you have. Some of you may not use ActiveCampaign. You may use a different CRM, and there's no plugin for that. And so Zapier allows you to connect your WordPress website, the data in there, to any platform. So you can push your data into Xero. If someone signs up for a lead magnet, you can put them into Xero, your accounting package. As a new client, if someone signs up, you can push them into ActiveCampaign. And I'm going to show you an integration next of how I take someone who signs up for an appointment and pushes them into ActiveCampaign. Okay, so Zapier, and that's Zapier, and I'm going to show you in the next step on actual Zapier integration. So the next one is called Calendly. So what I do a lot of is I book appointments. So let me show you something here. I actually have a good example. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Just going to load these screens. I just got this little app that turns the screens off and refresh it. Here it is here. So if you look here, I have this landing page where I drive people from Facebook. Oops, sorry guys, someone just rang me. So what I do is I drive people from Facebook onto this page. So how we generated 61 sales-ready leads in 14 days. They watch the video, and then at the end, if I've convinced them to book a strategy call with me, they click this button, and they go to a page here where they can book in a time. So here is my calendar, and they can say, oh, Marlon's available on Wednesday. I'll book it in for 6 a.m. I'll confirm, put their details in, and then they schedule the event. And when they schedule that event, it sends them an appointment reminder. It puts an appointment in their calendar, and it sends them some text reminders to actually, hey, Marlon's going to meet with you. So this is an app called Calendly that does this, and I couldn't run my business without it. And so I wanted to show it to you guys. So any of you that want to get appointments booked directly in, then this is what you want to use. So let me just log in. It's there. And you can see here that there are multiple calendars that I have. And then each one of these calendars, for example, this one here, someone can, I'll just view the calendar. I can configure the calendar. What's great is it now integrates with Facebook, so you can measure a conversion. If someone signs up from Facebook, you can measure that as a lead. What's really good about this one is where people pay to meet with me for an hour. And you can see here that they can choose a time. And then they got to put their credit card in. And then it takes the payment. So it's really good, and it interacts with Stripe and PayPal and all that kind of thing. So that's pretty powerful for me. So we don't have to get someone's details and then go back and forth. Are you available on Tuesday? No. Are you available on Wednesday? No. Are you available on Thursday? No. We just get rid of all of that, and they just book it in straight away. It just reduces the stress in my life down very quickly. So I want to show you just Zapier, how we use Zapier to actually push the data. So once someone signs up in here, I take their details and I put it into ActiveCampaign and put them in an automated email sequence. But how do I get them from here into ActiveCampaign? Well, that is a challenge because ActiveCampaign and Calendly don't link. There's no integration. And that's where Zapier gets involved. So what I do is I go to Zapier, and I'll just show you this one here. So what Zapier does, it has a thing called triggers. So basically it says the trigger is this: when Calendly, someone creates a new event in Calendly, okay, it then triggers Zapier, and Zapier goes, okay, something's happening, okay, when someone books an event in Calendly. And once that event is booked, we can say, okay, what do we want to do with that? Well, once the triggers that an event is created, we want to put them into ActiveCampaign. So I click on ActiveCampaign, and I say I want to create a new contact or update an existing contact. And then you say, well, where do you want to put it? Well, I want to put it in one of these lists. I want to match the email address in Calendly with the email address in ActiveCampaign, and you can map all of the functionality here, all of the data. So the data from Calendly, I'm matching it into the right fields in ActiveCampaign. And then it sends the data off to ActiveCampaign. So every time someone books a new appointment in Calendly, it triggers. See the trigger? Zapier's triggered, says, okay, I've got some data here, some new data in Calendly. It says, what am I going to do with it? Well, I'm going to put it into ActiveCampaign. And then we do additional things. Then we send an email to the client. So we trigger an email, and Zapier sends an email to the client saying, hey, you've got a new appointment. And then we send another message on an app called Slack to our staff saying, hey, there's a new lead for this client. And then we add that client into a spreadsheet so our client can see the prospect in a spreadsheet so they can follow them up. So you can see Zapier does amazing. It's all automated. Imagine if we had to manually take the data from Calendly, put it into ActiveCampaign, send the client an email, update our staff, and then add it to an Excel spreadsheet. That could take 10 minutes for every client, new prospect that comes in. So we're saving like 10 minutes, and we're getting 5 or 6 of these a day just for this client. So you can see that, that's probably, at least 30 to 40 minutes a day we're saving. So it's very, very powerful. Okay, so the last one is Webinar Jam. So Webinar Jam is the software I'm actually using right now that you're on to watch this webinar. It's a good solution. It's not the best. There is no the best solution when it comes to webinars, okay? Every solution out there, there's Zoom, there's GoToMeeting, there's Demio, there's Webinar Jam. None of them are perfect. Some have all of them have pros and cons. I feel like Webinar Jam is the best lot of pros with the least amount of cons. So it's not the world's best system to use. It's not the easiest system for me to use, but I feel like it's the best experience for you as the end user. And it's a good system. I think it's like $500-$600 a year, where a lot of these other solutions can be $100 a month. So the other thing is, if that's for live webinars, you use the Webinar Jam. For evergreen webinars or webinars that you record once and run whenever people want to sign up, you use EverWebinar, which is Webinar Jam's sister or brother. And you got to buy them separately. They're both about $400 or $500 each per year. So look, that is the webinar today. Hopefully that's given you a really good understanding of all the tips and tools that you've got to use to make a sales-driven site a reality. So that's the tech. So the other night when I spoke, it was the strategy. This is the tech. And there's quite a few other components, of course, to running a sales-driven website. So look, if you're interested in getting us at Sales Driven Sites to build your sales-driven website, then I want to encourage you to book a time in with me The best way to do that is if you go to the website, and then you can just click on this button in the top right-hand corner. So go to salesdrivensites.com, click on book strategy session, and then book that strategy session with me, and I can have a chat to you about how to make this a reality. And so, look, I want to thank you for jumping on. I hope you learned something. If you're the type of person that's going to do it yourself, I hope you get out there and use these tools and it works for you. You can always get me online or contact me through the Contact Us page to ask any questions. Get me on Facebook. But I hope it works for you. If you're the type of person that says, look, just do it for me, then book a strategy session. And I look forward to speaking to you soon.